What's up, Go enthusiast? This is so cool. I gotta show you. This is copyrighted. That is the Eight Immortals puzzle from the Book of Pure Pleasures and Forgotten Worries. Yeah, that book was written in 1160 to 1189, somewhere around there. It's the book I got the Three Rivers puzzle from, which you may remember. Video was I really like the Three Rivers puzzle. I think that was awesome. This is another puzzle, somewhat like it, the Eight Immortals puzzle. And this is really cool. The Eight Immortals are a mythology, a sort of legend that's still around today. People are still, somewhat believing, not, people don't think it's true, but the people who became the Eight Immortals, some of them were historical figures, some of them are mythological purely. They all became mythological as they became immortals. But this is such a cool story. There's so many stories, especially because the Eight Immortals were like named and fleshed out hundreds of years after this puzzle was created. Right around when this puzzle was made is when the Eight Immortals started becoming an oral tradition. So somebody started coming up with a story about, this or that historical figure and telling stories, and the storytellers made them a legend. And this puzzle is part of that. The 1100s was right around when the Eight Immortals started becoming a myth proper. I think it's so cool. So here, by the way, here's a picture of my background today. That's a statue of the Eight Immortals. There's so much art and statues, paintings, stories about the Eight Immortals. They're really popular. Sort of cultural, I don't know, headstone of China. And they all are named, but of course, when this puzzle was created, they were not named. So I guess I shouldn't share it with you. But some of the stories were around back then. So, for example, this statue is in Penglai City in China. I'm sure I butchered the name. Sorry. The Red Cliffs of Penglai City are the site where the Eight Immortals supposedly set out for the land of the Immortals, and where an emperor later sent 1,000 men and girls on ships after them to try to find them. And the Eight Immortals apparently were in a island in the middle of the sea where the waters are too weak to reach unless you're an immortal and you can get there. So yeah, really cool. Especially really cool because these, yeah, these immortals, their legend was bolstered by this Sumego. Maybe not very much, but still, this is one of the very founding artifacts that references the Eight Immortals that we have. I mean, there, it's from 1160 to 1189, because we're pretty sure of what emperor's reign that this book was written in. Anyway, I find it really cool, and you might wonder why it's called the Eight Immortals. Like, what does this have to do with the Eight Immortals? It's because this puzzle is all about saving those 8 stones, or more accurately, trying to capture the 8 Immortals. What happens when white tries to capture the 8 Immortals on the bottom side of the board here? And we will go on a journey through the rest of the board, very similar to the Three Rivers puzzle. That's all these stones are here. They're all necessary for this puzzle to work. So, let's get started. The first move white should play to try to capture them is to go in like this. So we should try to reduce the space and try to make sure that it can't make 2 eyes. So if black just blocked, then by playing here, black would only have 1 eye, no other eye. So of course that's not possible. Black should block here. So black is trying to get an eye there and an eye on the bottom side. If white just does this, black successfully gets the bottom eye. So no choice for white but to dive all the way in. Of course, that allows black to block, but the block has one minor problem, the ko. So black can recapture the ko, and the whole board is filled up with other stuff, but it doesn't have anything to do with capturing the Eight Immortals. We have to capture the Eight Immortals. So the problem doesn't just end here, ko, something happens. No, we have the whole board. We know the whole board. We have to capture the Eight Immortals. So we have to play a local ko threat. We have to try to kill them, capture them. And if black does not answer this somehow, then of course black is going to get in some trouble. Yeah, if black plays over here, then we will try to get rid of this. More on this later, but okay. Black does have to answer to this local ko threat. Then white can recapture the ko, and black should play this one as the local ko-threat. Then white cannot just connect here, because black would make the eye. Black has one eye, another eye, the immortals are safe. No, no, no. Not that easy. White should try to throw in here. So obviously if black connects, white would capture the 4 stones. And the whole immortal party would be over. So black captures, and white plays here, double Atari, or maybe triple Atari. Would you call it triple Atari if there's like another Atari that wasn't created by the... Anyway, double Atari, triple Atari. Triple Atari, sounds fun. Black can capture or connect. The story goes on with the connect. And then white capturing the 2 stones, black trying to live over here. And this is how we could have done it in the first place. Okay, so black has one eye and is trying to get the second eye over here, but cannot continue with the Atari here, that's self-Atari. So needs to Atari from the outside. And then white can connect, and black needs to chase these stones. But white can play the ko. Black needs to find a local ko-threat. He does have this one. This is a fair local ko-threat. And then when you recapture, white needs to connect. Obviously, if white loses these stones, black will live. And white can get chased into the corner. White recaptures. And this is where the problem starts. So we're going to end up having a ladder here. A ladder where black is chasing these white stones all the way across the board while the ko is still there. This is a really interesting problem. It's a ladder with a ko active. We're going to see how that works. For the moment, white doesn't have that much to do if black just passes the turn back to white. So what black is going to do is connect like this. To deny white ko-threats, the idea is if white just does something random, then black will capture here, and white doesn't have any ko-threats, so black is going to live. So what white needs to do is use this moment where black played here to save these preemptively, so that when black captures the ko, white can connect out. The ladder starts. The journey begins. Our 8 immortals, can they capture these outside stones in order to save themselves or not? Well, they can Atari like this, and they can Atari, Atari, Atari. The journey begins. At any point, if white comes back to recapture the ko during this kind of the ladder, black could play on the outside. And white, of course, has no major ko-threats, and white is just going to die, and black saves by capturing all the stones. So white needs to run it out. And we have a fun picture. This is art. I want you to enjoy this. You don't have to bother to read it all out. I'll play the moves fast, but just enjoy the journey that 8 immortals go on here. So now, at this moment, we have a decision point, because now if white connects here, then black would just capture. So white is forced to play the ko, but this was an interesting moment because black also struggles. In the other situations, black could just cap the white running stick, but here if black does that, then black can get captured. So you might think, oh, black can't do that. Is black just in trouble? Maybe black can play a slow move here. But white has secretly surrounded this left side group. Not so secretly, but as white was running, white surrounded that left side group, and that has only 2 liberties. So if black played a slow move, white would throw in its Atari and play Atari. White still has 2 liberties, so black has no choice but to allow white to capture those. If that saves the whole white group, the whole black bottom side, the immortals are dead. We can't have that. The immortals can't die. No, 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 no. So, even though this one is self-Atari, black has to do it. He has to throw in. And now black has a choice between throwing in or recapturing the ko. So if he recaptures the ko, white could play here. Black plays this one, it's Atari. White recaptures the ko. Black has no ko threat. Black can't play to Atari these stones there. the stone won't show up. And then when you don't do it, then white can just capture the stones on the left. So this becomes a ko ladder with a chance to capture another group. So everything becomes very urgent. It's really cool what's happening here. So black cannot recapture the ko at this moment, but instead take the other choice of throwing in again. So now if white doesn't do anything, white would get captured over there, the whole stick. So white needs to go this way. Black recaptures the ko. White must answer that. Black plays here. And again, if white does that, they would die. So they recapture the ko, forcing black to do the same shape. Throw in, recapture the ko. And Atari from this side. Now again, we have something interesting happening. When black plays here, Atari, If white just answers, black would play Atari. White couldn't connect out. White would have to recapture the ko. And then black would surround it. So that's not working. But fortunately for white, white has a sneaky method to get another stone, which is to capture the ko now. And again, black must play the outside Atari, otherwise the bottom left corner group will die. So white can capture that, and when black recaptures the ko, we have the same situation as before, but white got an extra stone. White snuck in an extra stone there. So black tries to chase this one, and again, white is going to ask for another stone. Black must throw in, and that gives white another running stone, so white can connect all the way through the corner. It's very beautiful, isn't it? So the journey continues. So black can Atari, chase these white stones all the way through the rest of the board. As white continues to run, black can continue to chase. So we need to Atari, no nets. Any net, white will go capture these. So we have to Atari all the time. Atari. And at this moment, white can once again ask for another stone. You can see if white connected, then black would chase it, and white would be caught. So white can ask for another stone as they run. They capture the ko. White has no choice. Black has no choice but to throw in, giving white another movement direction. You can Atari from the behind, and the chase resumes. If we give white an eye, they're going to use that eye to capture us over here once they take the ko. So we must save it, and the chase goes through the bottom side, back towards the 8 immortals, and back away again. Throw in again mandatory, allowing white to get another stone to escape. We chase it all the way through, make sure to connect. And again, in the corner, we have a very familiar looking shape. So when white recaptures, black is forced to give white the additional stones that they need to run through this corner and escape. As black plays here, once again, white forces black to play the throw-in, giving white another move to run. And again. And again. Throw in. And again. Constantly, this throw-in is required from black to keep it going. And white is required to set it up to keep it going. We go all this way with white getting so many free moves from black having to throw in to keep the ko going, to keep the ladder going, to keep the journey going. It's so cool. It's so cool what they could come up with in 1160 when this problem was created. Incredible. So we have the throw in again here, and white captures, and Atari again, forcing yourself to throw in. The full journey continues all the way through, and through, and through to the side of the board. What's going to happen at the side of the board? Of course, black is going to be forced to throw in on the first line. White connects. White has managed to surround another group with 2 liberties. Black and Atari. And one final time in the final corner here. Oops. I messed up. Oh, did I mess up in my transcription here? You guys see this? After this one, and here, it would get captured. That can't be right. I messed up. I'm sure that there was a stone here preventing that. Oh no. Oh no, not at the very end. Whoa, let me see. Oh, of course, silly me. At this moment, we were supposed to force another throw-in. Did you guys catch that? Of course, any moment when white could capture the ko, force black to throw in and get another stone, that's necessary in order to keep running. And one final time, we have the final corner pattern here, where it's going to happen again. And one last time where white needs to recapture the ko, forcing black to throw in, recapture, white connects. And with this, white saves those stones. Finally, white has 3 liberties, which is enough to capture this group, or now this group. And by capturing those, white becomes safe with the whole thing, capturing, at last, the inside immortals. Incredible! What a game! What a game this is that we play. This inside black group, of course, is not able to chase the white group here because it has an eye and black does not. So it's going to win the capture race. What a game. Very interestingly, this one ends in the death of the 8 immortals. So it seems, yeah? The 8 immortals would be captured, unlike the 3 rivers problem, where the rivers themselves were captured in the end and the initial group could save. The 8 immortals seem to have an end to their story. Very interesting. However, it might be a bit of a false narrative because I have noticed along this path there was a moment where the 8 immortals could have saved themselves. Right here, at this point in the mortal's journey, the official Sumego went this way. However, we could also have Atari'd this way, and this would set up an entirely different shape, where when we chase this white, you can see white runs out of liberties. White would end up captured. Maybe this was a mistake in the puzzle creation. It's definitely not a mistake in like the recreation. You can see the original there. It does have this exact amount of... I looked at it. I did my research. Maybe this is a mistake in the puzzle creation that there is a Atari from the wrong side here, which is working to capture and save the 8 immortals. But maybe the point is that the 8 immortals diverged off the path at some point. Maybe it was left in on purpose. We can go and chase through the whole board. The immortals can have a long and epic journey. But actually, there was a moment in each of the 8 immortals' stories where they became immortal. For example, one of them was gifted a peach of immortality at the age of 14, and she ate the peach and became one of the immortals. All sorts of stories like this. I mean, these are very popular mythological figures in China. Anyway, it's so cool that there is a puzzle about the 8 immortals, which is a really cool puzzle. I mean, a co-ladder with the death of another group. Really cool, branching, full board puzzle for the 8 immortals with a secret exit. All created in 1160 or 1170. What a puzzle. What a time to be alive. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is so awesome. Unfortunately, there's no more epic puzzles from the Book of Pure Pleasures and Forgotten Worries, but there's going to be lots of more epic Go content coming your way, coming soon. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Oh man, it's so cool. Wait. Before the outro, I'm very curious about the linguistic history. I have a passing interest in linguistics. Up there, the characters look very similar to the characters that I see in Sumego nowadays. Now, it could be that this is like a secretly a fake that was created in the 1800s in Japan. They were really into this stuff in the 1800s in Japan. You know, back then it was just as ancient history as it is to us now. So at that time, they were really interested in what the Chinese were doing in 1100. Just like we are, right? But I'm very curious whether anybody can read that. Is it like legible? Maybe this sounds like a stupid question to ask, but I wanted to share. Here's Beowulf. So Beowulf was written about 150 years before that. So in about 1000 AD, and that's about 1150 AD. And Beowulf is in English. You may not be able to, to figure that out, but yeah, that over there, that is an English, the first page of Beowulf. I have the translation here. I was really curious, actually. It made me get my copy of Beowulf out. I have the book. I hadn't read it yet. But yeah, this Beowulf, this says, Hwaetwe Gardena in Gerard Dagum, Theod Saninga Thrum Gefrunan, etc. So that has nothing to do with the English that we speak today. Right? This is Old English. We literally cannot speak it unless we're taught. Is Chinese the same? Was Chinese somehow like really stagnant, at least in writing, that you can like read it, even though the same amount of time has passed since they were speaking in in thorns and winds and whatever the heck? Like this is illegible to me, at least. Beowulf. Anyway, I'm just really curious about the history of this, since we have. I mean, the puzzle is super intelligible. I understand exactly what they were thinking. At least I think I do. Anyway, this is all really cool. I'm really excited about it, but I do have to let you guys go. Let the video end at some point. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed just as much as I have. And yeah, if you know anything about the the history of the Eight Immortals in like the literal 1100s when they were starting, or the history of Chinese linguistics and how this has been changing, like whether the writing has been changing. I'm so curious. Anybody who knows anything, please leave a comment. Ask a friend if you know a history professor or something like that. All right, sorry. I'll stop gushing. Bye bye.